the capital of Ukraine. Best greetings from midnight Kyiv. And actually, today is night, but this stream is devoted to entomologists, amateurs, biocontrol workers, lovers of insects worldwide. So that's why I'm speaking English for people who can understand me and who can watch me in other part of the world rather than in Europe. That's why I'm showing you these insects in midnight time, because I noticed the difference of times is important for audience. If I am showing you insects in Ukrainian time, so majority of people watching me just here nearby or in neighboring countries. So far, if I am speaking English, not so large audience can watch me. But if I use different time, which is more day and evening time for United States, for Canada, more people from United States can watch me in this stream. Probably YouTube is just showing it in different time. So what we are going to see here, what we are watching here and now, this midnight time, I'm trying to show you parasitoids. So my channel devoted to insects, and I'm studying parasitic wasps, I'm studying calcid wasps, but today we are watching ichneumoniid wasp, because this is a separate family of a superfamily Ichneumonidae, and this is family Braconidae. I like to show this bottle today because more insects are coming, more insects are rearing from cocoons, so we can observe very mass rearing, and it's a great fun to show them all together, because actually in summertime it's quite difficult to collect so many cocoons which emerged from, which were done by larvae of these funny parasitic wasps, and which are collected just on some remnants or rest of caterpillars. I collected these cocoons on plants. I collected these cocoons in Indian summer, as I wrote. But this is not Indian summer in Indian continent. This is Indian summer in meaning late autumn time, in meaning warm days of autumn. In Ukrainian language it's called like a lady's summer, but this is late autumn time with sunny days. But I collected it's in a cold day. I collected many cocoons, white silky cocoons with size about 10 millimeters on dry plants of funny dry plant which is named Goosefoot, genus Chenopodium in Latin language. I noticed some white balls, like silky balls, like spider balls on dry plants, and I suggested, I know what is that. I have collected once, couple times maybe. And when I collected 3 of them, I was sure that I can collect more. In another place, near roadside, I was very careful to observe dry plants of Goosefoot for genus Chenopodium, just very ordinary, very simple weed. Chenopodium are weeds which are distributed everywhere worldwide. And some night moths of a family probably Noctuidae, bollworms, family Noctuidae, were feeding on this weed very successfully and making a lot of caterpillars, by the way. And caterpillars are going to pupate in late autumn time. But if caterpillars were infested by parasitoids, if it have been infested with parasitoids, were not pupating, larvae or caterpillars of bollworms were becoming like these silky cocoons, like spiders' cocoons. You can observe here some white silk inside, like cotton, but this is not a cotton. This is a silky cocoons containing several small cocoons inside. So because these funny parasitoids were gregarious parasitoids, many parasitoids are developing on one caterpillar. Maybe 10, maybe 15, up to 20 small parasitoids can develop on one very big and fat caterpillar of bollworm family Noctuidae. So far so good. One by one from different cocoons today and yesterday emerged, just hatched. Many parasitoids, maybe already here 40 or more than 40 specimens of these parasitoids of family Braconidae. Probably genus Apanteles or genus Cotesia, which are very close to each other, and may belong to different species. Initially, just only black parasitoids emerged, were all with wings. It's difficult to recognize males and females only maybe by antenna. Some antenna of males just longer for males, but in morning time I recognized second species here with different body size and different coloration of gastral part. Second species was with specimens longer and body lighter. Abdomen was very slender and body size was about maybe 6 millimeters. But majority of these tiny parasitoids are here about 4 millimeters size. But many of them, because from, as I said, from one caterpillar of bollworm, probably hatching about 15 or 20 larvae. So we are making these larvae are making 15 cocoons, and all cocoons they're covered all together in one major silky white cocoon. Actually, Braconidae parasitoids are making different types of cocoons. Different species making different cocoons. Some cocoons can be white, other gray, even greenish. Some can be yellow, very bright yellow. It's especially visible for some Pierid moths, some Pierid butterflies. If they are infested, so some gregarious Braconidae parasitoids are making very bright yellow cocoons which are very visible. They are not like these white cocoons which looks like spiders' cocoons. Yellow cocoons usually much more attractive and they're better visible and more surprising. Hello, Catslow. Best greetings. If you are watching us from United States, write your state of United States, because we had visitors from different states before. We had visitors from Alabama, Arizona, California, from state of Washington, from DC, Washington, from Texas, from Michigan, from Virginia, from Florida. So maybe you are from in another state. It will be very interesting to know. So we're just enlarging our audience in different states of United States of America. And of course, some people watching us from Asia. We had visitors from Japan, from Europe, from Sweden, from Hungary, from United Kingdom, and some other countries, and of course some neighboring countries. I'm not talking about non-friendly countries, I'm talking only about friendly countries, which can watch us and understand English language. So what's about Braconidae parasitoids? We are observing now here Braconidae parasitoids, gregarious parasitoids of caterpillars. And here maybe already 40 or 50 tiny parasitoids with size from 4 millimeters up to 10 millimeters size were just hatched from white silky cocoons. They're crawling around like tiny ants. Catslow boy, what is your home country? Write in comments. What country are you coming from? It's interesting to know about like a feedback, where are you? What can I tell you about Braconidae? I can tell you a lot, because I have a very important book in my hands, book about parasitic Hymenoptera, which was written by Jan Holt and Barry Bolton. So I can cite some interesting facts about life of Braconidae. Just showing you this Braconidae on screen. I can try to make better light, because always I'm making light and changing position of light. All these tiny parasitoids were coming to the light. They are positive to light, positive phototaxis. Yeah, maybe like that. So our crawling parasitoids will be running around, at least in the central part. I can show you them under larger magnification. Once funny aphids, and many of parasitoids are crawling around. I cannot remove them to petri dish because we will escape very quickly. White silky balls here are just cocoons. And these are plants of Goosefoot with some seeds. A slightly bigger magnification, even more funny. It's all these funny Braconidae larval parasitoids. Catslow, did you hear me? What is your home country? Where are you watching us from? So what can I tell you more about Braconidae parasitoids? They belong to order Hymenoptera for sure. Maybe you know about it already. I do not tell about morphology, but most interesting about different features of biology. Which biology is very interesting because Braconidae is a pretty large group of parasitic wasps. Yes, I can make smaller magnification now to show more of them here. Or maybe like that. Because when I'm changing positioning, all of them were just running to the light. And it's quite funny. Okay, come on. I'm trying to make somewhere, put them in the middle, so we will be crawling in the middle part of this plastic box. Braconidae is one of the largest families of a Hymenoptera. It's approximately estimated at least 40,000 described species of Braconidae in the world fauna, as indicated by van Achtenberg in 1984. At least it's suggested that only a quarter of this number hasn't yet been described. So maybe 3/4 are undescribed. And only for a few species, for a very limited number of species, biology and taxonomy adequately known and investigated. Actually, it's interesting that so this large family has very difficult taxonomical position, and it's represented now by 35 subfamilies. So you can recognize that their morphological differences are very, very wide, and morphological and biological differences and features are very interesting. Okay, I understand, Cat's boy. From what country are you coming from? You are from China. Or from Vietnam, maybe. Actually, majority of species of parasitic wasp of family Braconidae are very small, relatively small, active, and inconspicuous insects. They have different coloration. They can be black like here, brown, or even orange in color. And biology is very, very difficult and associated usually with single host order. For example, species of subfamily Aphidiinae are parasitoids of Aphidoidea, aphids of order Hymenoptera, and subfamily Ophiinae attacking only flies or Diptera order, larvae of flies. Although many braconids parasitoids are strictly solitary parasitoids, gregariousness is a recurrent feature. So you can see here that this species of genus Apanteles or Cotesia this is gregarious parasitoids. For some species in subfamily Macrocentrinae, they are not only gregarious parasitoids, they have also such an interesting feature as a polyembryony, when one female is laying single egg and it's just becoming as many embryos. And many embryos after subdivisions is producing kind of clones, and this feature is named polyembryony, which is interesting for family Braconidae. Some Braconidae in family Braconidae, they are parasitizing the larva or nymph of a host. For example, another subfamily, such as Euphorinae, includes many species which attack even adults like ladybugs. In some subfamily Euphorinae, attacking Coleoptera and parasitizing the pupa of host, which can be also in same habitat as adult. So surprisingly, it can be adult parasitoids and pupal parasitoids. Subfamily Alizinae and subfamily Ophiinae are depositing in the larva of flies of order Diptera. And larvae were completing their development in host puparium and emerging for adults from host puparium of Diptera flies. Some of Braconidae, such as Braconidae of subfamily Heloninae, were egg larval parasitoids. Because no true egg parasitoids, but Heloninae were oviposited in host egg, which is very small, but Heloninae are pretty big size parasitoids. But larva is developing inside host as a larval parasitoid. So larval development occurs in the host larva. Some species of Braconidae family were ectoparasitoids, which means were developing on the body of host larva. And some parasitoids are endoparasitoids, which means that larvae of Braconidae are developing inside the body of their host, for example, a caterpillar or larva of some beetles. It's interesting that mature larvae, which developed already, of most Braconid species, pupating within a cocoon spoon from silken thread produced by the larval glands. So their tiny larvae, which just hatched from caterpillar, created this silky cocoon. You can observe here some white or whitish spots here. These are cocoons of their hosts, which were done by many adults, many larvae. Larvae became pupa, and from pupa emerged these funny adults, family Braconidae. For this species and many others, larvae already developed were generally emerging from the body of host before producing cocoon. But for example, for another Braconidae of a subfamily Aphidiinae, in general they pupate inside mummified body of host. And host of Aphidiinae subfamily, these are different aphids. And for example, for tribe Rogadinae, larvae pupating within mummified remains of caterpillars. So something like inside the shell of caterpillar, inside the skin remnants of caterpillars. In this case, the parasitoid larva of Braconidae generally is sticking to the mummy, or to the plant, the ventral opening, and the cocoon within which may be vestigial or absent. Such genus of Braconidae is a genus Brown belonging to subfamily Aphidiinae, emerging from a mummified aphids and spin to tent-like cocoon beneath it. Such interesting species as adult parasitoid or Dinocampus coccinelle spun beneath its ladybird host of subfamily Coccinellidae. And for example, several species, solitary species of genus Microgaster, their larvae made between the prolegs of the cryptic caterpillars, and usually hatching well before the host is dying. Cocoons of several solitary species, such as Meteorus species, are spun suspended from thread, rather in the way of certain Campopleginae ichneumanoids. But in the case of genus Meteorus, the cocoon does not break free and can jump. It's very interesting. Cocoon can jump. Number of gregarious parasitoids of subfamily tribe Microgastrinae were organizing their cocoons with a communal ball of fluffy silk. And this is like a Cotesia tibialis, maybe this is one of species can be here. So these cocoons are called cocoons with communal ball of fluffy silk. And after emergence, after appearance of emergent holes, it's quite interesting that they're organized very closely to each other, small cocoons of Braconidae. And it looks like weaving a honeycomb inside fluffy silk. That's interesting. Neatly stacked rows looks like a honeycomb end on it. Most Braconid cocoons, which are usually constructed on vegetation, in the summertime, from them emerging adults during the week or two, although a few can overwinter inside on twigs. So that's why probably these cocoons were waiting for emergence in late autumn, or maybe they could overwinter also successfully. Some species can produce one generation per year, and some species, like inside Microgaster genus, can produce B1 voltine generation. And they have interesting, very tough overwintering cocoons, and they are produced early in the year. So that's why some cocoons are really open, but some can be cocoons can be produced and larvated in secret and concealed size. For example, for subfamily Opieinae and subfamily Alesiinae, Braconid larvae producing pupae and pupating as naked inside the puparium of their dipterous hosts, and various groups developing inside most Lepidopterous larvae, which are similarly transported by the host to the pupation site before they killed by prepupal host and spin their own cocoons. So host caterpillar are just crawling somewhere, hiding somewhere, and after caterpillar is hidden somewhere, many larvae just coming out of the body of infested caterpillar and making cocoons in secret concealed sites. That's why some ectoparasitoids in the idiobion groups can produce some silky cocoons very, very weak. These cocoons are very tough and strong and can survive during winter time, but some cocoons are very thin and rather weak because they can be hidden in concealed size or secret sites. It's difficult to indicate different varieties of biology and trophical relations of a family Braconidae because they are so different. We can parasitize larvae of different families of butterflies, night moths, beetles, and several other orders. Some species are important for biological control of agricultural pests. Some, such as Habrobrak inhibitor, is important biological control agent to control caterpillars of stored pests. Hello Hadia, you are joining us for the second time. I'm repeating this stream, and more parasitoids just emerged during daytime. So that's why I decided to repeat it for a different time zone. More people from different time zone can watch us, not from Europe, but maybe from America and from Asia. That's why we are talking today about these interesting parasitoids of a family Braconidae, which are very important for biological control of different agricultural pests, for pests of agriculture and forestry. Because they're important for natural control of pests. Like, difficult to mention it, for instance, species Ascogaster quadridentata is parasitizing the codlin moth, in Latin Cidia pomanella, which is important pest in orchards. Species of Braconidae scolecida is attacking the larvae of beetle vectors of Dutch elm disease. Of beetle, which is vectors of Dutch elm disease. Species Spatius exerator is parasitizing larvae of important beetle of stored products, Anobium punctatum, or just not stored products, of important furniture beetle or woodworm beetle. Such species of Braconidae, Cotesia glomerata, maybe is here. This is important parasitoid of Pieridae caterpillars and Pieris brassica. But I'm sure here parasitoids of different species of Noctuidae or family or bollworms. And for instance, biologically very important, several species of subfamily Aphidiinae, which are parasitic wasps upon important aphid species, important sucking pests on different agricultural crops. So far so good. We are watching very funny, very interesting tiny parasitoids of family Braconidae. Two different species. One species is long, about 6 millimeters. Majority is this one species about 4 millimeters size. Longer species is slender with whitish and slightly transparent abdomen. Others looks like have very strong black coloration. And I'm quite sure that this is not a male. This is the second species. Sometimes these parasitoids will have secondary parasitism, so some other Braconidae are parasitizing the same cocoons. So that's why we can have here primary parasitoids and secondary parasitoids as well. That's a good idea to find important pest and to find parasitoid of this pest. For instance, as Hadias is talking that it's important to find parasitoid of Dactylopius opuncea and try to make breeding or rearing in laboratory and maybe distribution it in the nature, release to the nature after laboratory breeding. So develop this natural biological control of important sucking insects. Or Dactylopius, I'm not sure. This is aphids, or this is Lepidoptera. Aphids, Dactylopius. I can try to make a little bit bigger magnification. And for comparison of these species, I have some more species of parasitoids in my last jars, but they are very tiny. It's difficult to show you them. In comparison, I can show you parasitoids of Trichogramma, of genus Trichogramma. Some crawling tiny spots, these are tiny Trichogramma egg parasitoids. Hundreds and hundreds of them crawling inside this tube. It's difficult to make precise comparison because different focus. But you see, these are insects. On the right side, this is a Braconidae, and on the left side, this is Parasitic Wasps family Trichogrammatidae, Trichogramma parasitoids, with size 0.5 mm, half of millimeter size. In black coloration, these are shells of infested parasitized eggs of Citotrocha cerearella. I got it from laboratory today, and they already hatched from eggs of this moth, Citotrocha. They have just only half of millimeter, very tiny parasitoids, and so many of them, just thousands of them crawling on the left part of screen. Trichogramma is a very important biological control agent of different Lepidopteras hosts, different butterflies, different night moths, and different pests of agriculture. It's widely used in Ukraine as well to control some pests on maize, on corn. Even now in wartime, some farmers are using biological control methods to control agricultural pests using this tiny parasitoid Trichogramma, which is parasitizing eggs of different butterflies. So that's why they are very tiny. They are infested eggs of butterflies. And on the right side, this is a larval parasitoid, so Braconidae family, they are larval parasitizing caterpillars. They are slightly bigger, 4 mm size, 4 and 6 mm size. You may say much bigger, for sure. About Trichogramma, I can make second stream maybe tomorrow, because I have many of them just hatched. They die very quickly. You see here also jar with many tiny spots. These are insects, same genus Trichogramma. Very tiny, half of millimeter. And brown coloration, this is because of hundreds of them all together. They just mass rearing, mass hatching. I'm using them for making microscopic slides and making identification. I got this culture for identification of species. We were originally collected in the field yard of mice in Ukraine, and they were collected, then reared in laboratory on artificial hosts, and you see we're successfully breeding in laboratory, but originally collected in a mice field, cornfield in summertime, but now hatched in laboratory. Some of them escaped actually, but I'm very careful in this one room. I have only one species. Do not mix several species. It's important for identification to have only one culture. And don't mix different samples. So this is funny comparison of two different parasitoids. Very small one and quite a big one. All tiny box, tiny glass jar is completed with hundreds or maybe thousands of different males and females of Trichogramma parasitoids. They looks like small mites, like ticks, so tiny. And Braconidae really big in comparison. Trichogramma I show you later, maybe tomorrow. So we are watching today our funny parasitoids of family Braconidae, which are crawling here around in a plastic bottle with some remnants of plants and with some white cocoons. Sorry for sounds here, I just move some boxes. So you see we're attracted to the light. Now we will be running to the second part of the bottle. So all parasitoids crawling here. We're happy to go to the light. Morning time I gave him piece of paper with water and with honey. So we have little bit water, honey as a food. Tomorrow I need to give more for the next show. Because more and more of them just hatching from different cocoons. So maybe tomorrow will be even more individuals. So funny, like ants, but these are not ants, these are parasitic wasps. In some biological laboratories, most famous species and well known is the Habrobraca inhibitor, is also reared on some artificial hosts in laboratory for application for biological control agent of different caterpillars. Habrobraca inhibitor is well-studied species, but this is another one. These are Apanteles or genus Cotesia. These two genera were very close. And I'm translating this video from Kyiv, capital of Ukraine. I'm pleased to see some visitors, some of them I guess maybe from America, maybe from other places of the world. I'm not sure how many people from Europe, because it's midnight in Europe. It's midnight in Ukraine, but I show it because difference in time can attract different audience. And we are observing here many small parasitic wasps of family Braconidae. How I can make larger magnification. Even with some reflection, but you see how many of them crawling around in white. Small pieces in the center, this is some white cocoons which were done by larvae before pupation, and they hatch from these cocoons. some of our visitors can write their then the country where watching us, because we had already visitor from Morocco, visitor from China, maybe from other countries as well. Who knows? If you are not hesitating to write your home country, you can write in chat what country are you coming from to this stream. And if I am turning around, we will be crowning back. Yes, we are coming to the light. These are tiny parasitoids. We do like light very much, so we come to a window, to the sunshine, and we are coming to the light of our lamp in the laboratory. Come here. So here we'll be crowding here nearby, near the bottom. Best greetings from Kyiv, the capital of Ukraine. Today midnight in Kyiv. I'm a little bit pleased that's quiet night. A little bit pleased because I know that this is not a really quiet night, because already we had some messages on our smartphones that many air drones were coming to Ukraine. At least more than 20 of them were coming in the direction of our southern cities and in the direction to Kyiv. So we have some indication of air alert, which is talking to us, go to the refuge, go to the shelter. But in the midnight, it's quite difficult to go to the shelter because it's already not summer. And no shelter, by the way. We have only parking place for cars, which is not very comfortable to stay at cold night. So that's why usually unfortunately we are not going to shelter, because no shelter. So about 20 drones were coming to Ukraine, some of them in the direction of from the north or from the east to the west, close to Kyiv, and some were coming from the south in the direction near Odessa, to the direction to Nikolaev and other places. We have these bloody drones coming close to Kyiv. We have air alert and sign of air alert on the smartphone. If the sun is coming, it's kind of bell, and you can hear the bell inside our smartphone. Yesterday it was, and day before yesterday was too, and day before yesterday it was even some strong explosions close to my apartment. Somewhere, I'm not sure how close, but somewhere sound is moving very closely, very quickly. So I heard very strong explosion, midnight, and some shooting as well. So that's why, if it's more or less quiet today, I have this opportunity to show you these insects, and important to show them quickly, as far as they're running, because they can die quickly. We are running today, but maybe we're not will be so happy to run tomorrow. So that's why I'm catching opportunity to show this terrarium with parasitoids. And these are parasitoids of caterpillars, so these are larval parasitoids, family Braconidae. Gregarious larval parasitoids. Gregarious ectoparasitoids. Larvae of them developing on the body of caterpillars of family Noctuidae bollworms. After development, caterpillar is coming outside, maybe near from the roots of plants, crawling on the plant, and all larvae of parasitoids are creating white silky cocoons, covered with one big cocoons around. That's why we can observe here. These are cocoons like spider cocoons, but these are cocoons not spiders. These are cocoons of these tiny parasitoids. On the right side of the screen you can watch two tiny parasitoids and you can recognize that they are different. One is short body, and one is slender in the center. Second species. Majority of one species and slender species is slightly different. Maybe this is a primary parasitoid, or maybe this can be even secondary parasitoid. It needs to investigate caterpillar and to investigate even during larval stage if they are primary or secondary. For Braconidae, it's a very common state with some species of Braconidae are parasitizing on the larvae of another second species. So that's why they can be primary or secondary parasitoids. Thank you for coming to our stream. I was very pleased to show you our funny tiny parasitic wasp of family Braconidae, which are crawling here around, coming to the light. I'm pleased to show you some of them live, not only as dry specimens under the microscope, but so many of them, because I didn't collect them some in very hot summertime, but occasionally by this case I collected many cocoons yesterday. So many Braconidae just hatched yesterday and today from silky cocoons. So that's why we have such a mass rearing. Very funny one. And it's quite easy to make experiment if you have artificial host or native host collected in natural environment of different families. It's possible to give these hosts in different petri dishes for these parasitoids, and they will try to parasitize them. It's a good idea to show you different families of calcid wasps. Did you collect some Incertidae already? Did you rear some of Incertidae from your hosts? Or you know it's from the literature, some our followers are asking about Incertidae. Unfortunately, I cannot show you at the moment Incertidae because it needs to collect different Homoptera, different hosts of Encertidae to rear them. It's quite possible to. On eucalyptus, yes. Some plants they have a lot of native hosts, even some large colonies. But we are not living in semi-tropical region. In our region, some hosts more or less not very common, they are quite rare. I know this belonging to Homoptera or Hemiptera order, sometimes they are called the same. We are living on branches of different trees, like eucalyptus, like on apples. We have some important pests on apples, on pear tree, and on plum tree as well. And sometimes we are parasitized by Encertidae as well. But even in other countries, like in Turkish Republic, I have seen large colonies, extra large colonies of Homoptera on plants. And of course, in our region, in our temperate region, these colonies not so large. But in Turkish Republic, I have seen huge colony of Hemiptera. And of course, some parasitoids were coming too. Maybe next summer I can find some nice living Encertidae. Surprisingly, this summer was extremely hot, so not very convenient for walking around and searching for hosts. And especially in the wartime, it's slightly prohibited to go to the forest. I cannot go to the forest so freely as before, and when the temperature 35 Celsius degree, it's more difficult to go to the forest for collecting. To forest or just to grassland, 35 Celsius degree and 40 Celsius degree, little bit hot in summertime. Yes, Hadi, you can send some photos. You can find my email on the description of each video. We have expert on Encertidae family, which is working in our department. If you are interested in some identification of Encertidae, I can give this your insects for this expert for identification. He can identify this Encertidae species. Maybe it can be something interesting. So you can send even some small samples in glass tubes to our laboratory. I'm not expert on Encertidae, but our specialist, our doctor, Sergei Simutnik, is studying Encertidae and he described several species as new. He published several publications about some extant species, which he described from Baltic amber, from Dutch amber, and from amber which is collected in Ukraine. You know, it's surprisingly that Ukraine has no sea like Baltic Sea, Ocean Sea, only Black Sea. But Black Sea has no amber, but Ukraine has amber because we have Rivna amber, which is collected in some bogs. Amber which is collected from the soil in a forest in western parts of Ukraine, in place which is called Rivne. And some samples of Ukrainian amber has very interesting insects of different orders, including some Hymenoptera. So our specialist described many species of ants from Ukrainian amber, some species of parasitoids, Parasitic Wasps, and some Braconidae, some Encertidae from Ukrainian amber too. So far so good. Thank you for conversations, thank you for interest, thank you for curiosity. We are observing funny crawling gregarious parasitoids of genus Apanteles or genus Cotesia. We are very close genera, so I cannot identify them just on screen immediately. We have two species of parasitoids here in this glass jar. We emerged from cocoons, and we developed as ecto or not internal but external parasitoids on the body of some caterpillars of a family Noctuidae. And it was a stream from Kyiv, capital of Ukraine, about parasitism, about parasitoids, and I showed you larval parasitoids, this funny Braconidae, and I showed you also some egg parasitoids of genus Trichogramma, and I hope to show you them tomorrow. Many of them I keep in my samples for tomorrow's stream. Thank you for interest and curiosity. Thank you for coming to our stream. So our guys will be coming to the light. Crawling around. Join our next streams. I hope to show you more insects live, and also I'm planning to show you some parts of our collection with different interesting material which is collected and stored in the Department of Entomology and in the Department of Entomophagous Insects and Ecological Principles of Biological Control in the Institute of Zoology of National Academy of Sciences in Ukraine, in Kyiv, capital of Ukraine. Thank you for interest and curiosity. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to press like. If you didn't write in chat, you can write something in comments. To be continued in next stream. And don't forget, stand with Ukraine, support Ukraine, help Ukraine, and Ukraine will win, despite any circumstances, hard and difficult circumstances. See you soon in our next streams. Bye bye. Best wishes from Kyiv, capital of Ukraine.